Yeah, I was just thinking about how we've been talking to a couple of people about awareness. We've talked to Nick, we've talked to Jody, we've talked to Cinder Camera Bartolotta. We've also been talking to DVSSP, which stands for Domestic Violence Services of South Pennsylvania, Southwestern Pennsylvania. And they're just doing this program where they're going to a bunch of different high schools and they're going to talk to students about awareness, and I think it's great. This is Washington County Commissioner Nick Sherman. Why is awareness of this problem so important?
Well, this is a problem, domestic violence, that's like nothing else. It doesn't discriminate against anybody. Race, religion, economic background. You could be living in a $5 million home, you could be living in a single bedroom apartment and be on Social Security disability, and domestic violence touches everyone. We saw this over the global pandemic of COVID, that our numbers, we were actually seeing domestic violence was spiking. These people were locked in their home with their abuser. They couldn't get out. The children couldn't get to school. They couldn't get to church groups. They couldn't do everything they were normally doing when they were trying to report this abuse. And that really plays into the favor of an abusive person. That's what they want. They want that woman to be left at home, no one around, no friends. That's part of this abusive, controlling tendencies that we try to break the cycle of, and that was a perfect fit for COVID. So we saw, again, our numbers spiking through the roof. And again, you know, a lot of times young women, they don't realize they're in an abusive relationship. It's very, very common for high school age boys to have these controlling, abusive tendencies because they're immature, and sometimes that abuse and that controlling just never goes away. So again, it's very, very important to talk to them about it.
I'm here with Jody Sherman today. And Jody, can you tell me just a little bit about your program and your organizations?
The name of my organization is Domestic Outreach Corporation, and we are a 501(c) nonprofit organization who counsels domestic violent men and women in Allegheny and Washington County. Now, our organization is a bit unique because we actually work with the offenders. So typically what happens is people are referred through our program through the judicial system. So when a man or woman is arrested for something like simple assault, terroristic threats, harassment, and they are in court, they are offered our program. And as long as the victim is okay with them taking the program, then they start with us immediately. We do not have a waiting list. We feel like it's important to get the guys in the classes right away because these guys will blame the victim and make it seem like it's her fault that they're there. It's her fault that they have to take the classes. And the major theme that we teach in our classes is behavior accountability and being responsible for your own behavior. True domestic violence, and this is very important, true domestic violence is not about anger, it is about power and control. And when men see that they don't have power and control in a relationship, that is when they tend to become more abusive. And it can be very scary and unfortunately life-threatening for many women. Many times I think the public views domestic violence as just physical abuse, but it actually is mental abuse, and that's a lot of times what isn't always apparent. The men who are abusers are master manipulators, and it's always hard when there is a family involved because many times the female wants to stay with the male because they have children together. It could be for financial reasons, and that's why we think it's important for us to interject with our services so that the family can live in a healthy relationship without abuse.
If you're not sure, you're going to want to work your way down the flower through the stem, and the stem says power and control. That's because abusive relationships stem from power and control. This isn't something that somebody wakes up one day and they say, I want to be abusive. Nobody's born abusive.
DVSSP is really important because anyone who needs the help in the community, it's available for anyone. A lot of people think they hear this issue, they think it's just for maybe women who need the help. But our services are available to anyone. Men, people who are transitioning, anything like that can get the help for any of our services. And we offer it starting at age 14 as well. So that's why when we do come into these high schools especially, we can still provide that help for anyone who comes to us, talks to us, because we're always available to talk to people, but we want to be able to give them that concrete help when they need it.
To me, DVSSP means change. Whether that's change in the life of somebody who has experienced domestic violence, somebody who's been affected by it in another way, maybe that's a family member, a friend, or a coworker, but also change in the communities. Like, we're really working hard to prevent the problem before it starts, and so really I think change is what DVSSP means to me. So this program is important because it's just one piece of the puzzle to preventing and ending domestic violence. It's really, really important that we intervene. We have a duty as an organization to help people who have experienced abuse because it is still happening. But when our communities are safer, our relationships are safer. When our communities are connected, we're less likely to see domestic violence. So one of the things that we're doing here and through this program is we're educating teens at a young age about healthy and unhealthy relationships.
We as like a society and like even maybe like high schools in general need to create more of like a safe space for, you know, people that are going through those situations to share that, because it's it's a very vulnerable thing. And like, you know, there's this common misconception about like, well, why don't you just leave? And it's not always as simple as that. And like, so I think it's almost like some people feel like a guilt thing, so they don't want to share, or maybe they're just not comfortable sharing. Like, there could be 100 different reasons why they don't want to say anything. But like, I think in school, there needs to be
An environment.
like a safe space that is being created for you to feel comfortable enough to share that information and to get that help. The point in your life when you're like about to become an adult and you're not really a teen anymore, like that kind of gray area age. I think that's like an important place to like catch that if that is happening.
Catch it early.
Yeah.
Because
it
the
doesn't
next
affect
step
you for the
after
rest of your
dating
life.
is it's marriage, and you don't want to marry into a situation like that.